the prize, I follow through. I'm unstoppable.
Welcome to Charmingly Toxic, where Prosecco meets psychology. And we're not diagnosing, but we are side-eyeing the charm, control, and emotional chaos. Welcome back to Charmingly Toxic. It's 2026, and I have a new guest this week. This is my friend Christy. So we met maybe 10 years ago or so.
Yeah. So right at work, starting my social work journey.
Right. So we worked together at an agency, and I was looking for the perfect person to recap The Reckoning with. So I reached out and she was like, sure. So anyone who knows me knows I probably watched this documentary like 5 times already. But I was most interested in episodes 1 and 2 because, you know, the other documentaries did not cover as much about how Sean P. Diddy, whatever you want to call him, really created this cult around his employees and how he, really fucked over his coworkers and moved up the line with no care for his own people and friends. So we've seen the side where, he's done significant damage and sexual assault, sex trafficking. We've seen that piece of it, but I kind of really wanted to talk about this piece. It was so interesting to me. And so I'd love for you to jump in with all your comments as I kind of set the scene here.
All right.
Okay. So the documentary starts on September 10th, 2024, and Sean, quote unquote, hired a videographer to follow him in New York City during the time he was under federal investigation. So Netflix filmmakers, producers obtained the footage after the arrest because he didn't pay the videographer. The other thing is, I study cults, and all cult leaders video themselves. Like, they have archives of footage.
And they think they are just untouchable. And he just knew he was getting out of this. So why not? Why not document them trying to bring me down and me rise to power?
Exactly. But in the way that all cult leaders do, when they're having someone record them all the time, they screw themselves over.
Yeah.
So we get to see him talking to his lawyer, the head lawyer, Mark Agnifilo. And I don't know if you know, Mark Agnifilo was the main attorney for Keith Raniere, the cult leader in the New York sex cult case.
No, I did not know that.
Yeah. So that went to trial during COVID. And that cult leader, who had similar charges to Diddy, like trafficking, racketeering, he wound up getting sentenced. He was found guilty and wound up getting sentenced to 105 years. So Mark lost that case, but I think he learned a lot from that case and really tried to figure out how the two cults were different and how to represent Diddy in the best possible way.
I did not know that.
But we see Diddy reaming him out on the video, which then they said later, he didn't have Mark's permission to record him. So I don't know how that's going to play out, or how Mark Agnifilo feels now that he was recorded without his permission.
Surprise.
I'm going to throw everybody under the bus, not just myself. Okay, so we know his charges were RICO, sex trafficking, violations of the Mann Act. I had to look up what the Mann Act was. Did you know what it was?
No, what is it?
So it was previously called the White Slave Traffic Act of 1910. In its original form, the act made it a felony to engage in interstate or foreign commerce transport of any woman or girl for the purpose of prostitution or for other immoral purposes. Its primary stated intent was to address prostitution, immorality, human trafficking, particularly where trafficking was for the purpose of prostitution. So yeah, I did not know that. He was convicted on 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution, and he was acquitted of the remaining charges and sentenced to 50 months. And hopefully he serves every last day of that. So we open up and I guess, one of the big storytellers or narrators of episode 1 and 2 is this guy, Kirk, that grew up with him.
Yeah, Kirk.
Yeah, and Kirk was in the other documentary that we watched. What did you think about Kirk?
I feel like Kirk has some duality with him. On one hand, he was a victim, but Also, you were part of the drama and you helped facilitate a lot of the stuff that happened. So you kind of feel bad for him because, yeah, he got suckered into this relationship. But at some point, you have to realize the magnitude of what's going on and say, this is not for me.
Yeah.
And wait until the world knows about it. Then say, oh, wait a minute. I didn't really want to do all of that.
So I can understand your perspective on that. My perspective is researching about cults. Diddy created this cult environment and he used a lot of coercion with his employees and certainly with Kirk. And I think in this episode, they allude to Diddy sexually,
Yeah, I think that was in the later
yeah,
episodes.
sexually assaulting him or performing sexual acts or back and forth. And where Kirk was in this, I have this great job and I'm supposed to be making this money. And if I walk away and turn my back, I will be blackballed from the business. I will have nobody, no friends, and I'm going to have to go like live out on my own. Like his other friend. What was his other friend's name that's got the dreadlock? Tim Patterson.
Grew up with him.
Yeah.
I've known him since he was 3 or 4.
Right. So Kirk was like, okay, I kind of am locked into this. And a lot of times when you're under a cult person's power or spell, it takes years after getting out
Before you realize, wow.
before you realize how abused you were and then how much you abused other people.
Yeah, and I feel like in later episodes when he did bring up the alleged abuse, you could kinda see where it kinda clicked in his head like, "Oh, like, I was a victim too." So, yeah, I totally get that.
Yeah. So Kirk is like a big narrator. And then Tim Patterson is the other one who's a big narrator in the story. So he was the one that grew up with Diddy in Mount Vernon and Harlem, I think,
Mhm.
and knew him from a young age. And so this documentary kind of goes over what we'd learned before that Sean's father was killed when he was young, maybe like 1. And he was like a street drug hustler, right?
Yeah.
And then his mom, I mean, what the heck?
So this is my theory because they say he's a hustler, but they don't say a hustler of what. And I'm really feeling like he was the pimp and Diddy's mom was the bottom bitch. And that's where that mentality came from. And then she just carried it on even after he left. So when she left, when he died, everything that she learned from him, she flipped that to continue the world that she wanted. The more that I look into that, I'm like, yeah, I feel that's what it is.
So do you mean like she was, if we look at Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine, do you mean like she was like Ghislaine, like trafficking women for Diddy's dad?
Him in, probably setting them up. I mean, who knows if she wasn't the one that he started with.
Right. Because, Tim did go into like the parties at the house. They were up all night. I think he even says pimps, hustlers, whatever you want to call them, were there. It was the finest parties. Everybody wanted to be at these parties. And I'm sure there was a lot of prostitution happening and drugs.
Yeah.
He also talked about the culture a little bit of the stark differences between growing up in his house and then being at Diddy's house a lot, and the way Janice kind of ran the house and the things they were exposed to, like the way she dressed P. Diddy or the movies they watched or how she would take them on runs in Harlem and leave them in the car.
Yeah, she was grooming him from the very beginning to probably take over and run what his dad started, and then he flipped it and just used it in the music industry.
Yeah. So she was grooming him. At one point, Tim said, when the parties were at the house, she had a dance floor and we were kind of forced to dance and we were called the little babies and we were forced to perform at these parties. And so God knows what was happening to them as young children also
Yeah.
at these things. They were being exploited.
I had that thought, but then also just growing up in the Black community, and my mom and dad were the ones when I was younger they threw the coolest parties. And so if a good song came on and they would be like, "Come on out here and do your dance, baby." So it could be kind of either way.
Okay.
Yeah.
It could be either way.
Yeah.
If maybe the boundaries were a little different at Diddy's house. Okay. So then he goes into a little bit about Sean being like really goofy as a kid and getting like picked on and bullied. And his mom was not having that. His mom tried to toughen him up, beat him. And Tim was saying, we all got beatings, but he got beatings.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm trying to picture what kind of that meant.
Yeah, because I hate the word beatings because to me, if you say you spanked your child, you're thinking, bottom of the line discipline. When you use words like beatings, that just makes me wonder, what does that entail?
Yeah. And he was so tiny. He was little for his age, I think, kind of scrawny. So he learned how to fight back. And Tim said he was the kind that fought back with like fight.
Yeah,
That's, ugh, that is vicious.
yeah.
So they said even as he grew up, he went to Mount St. Michael Academy. So his mom had money to kind of pay his tuition to get into this private school. He was even, goofy there. And then somehow, where did he go to college?
Wasn't he at Howard? Yep, and then he dropped out.
Yeah. So I said to you over text, how the fuck did this kid get into Howard? I mean, I'm thinking Black Ivy League. Like, was he really smart? Was Mount St. Michael a feeder school for Howard?
Know the Howard history. But also, if mom has got this money, I mean, it's not like it's a secret their families have paid for their kids to go to whatever school they want them to go. As far as like the HBCU realm, Howard is, when you say HBCU, that's the one you're going to talk about. That is the Ivy League of HBCUs. So, I mean, maybe he had the grades, but, mama and her money and her influence probably had a little bit to do with it too.
Yeah. And so in the other documentary, we see he goes there and he has an incident where he allegedly rapes a girl and then he drops out or whatever. So I'm kind of thinking like, did he get kicked out of Howard?
Yeah, you never know, and we'll never know.
We'll never know. But he comes back and he wants to be in the music scene. So then, we see a little bit about how he's in some music videos. He's trying to get into the club scene, be a promoter. And he has this event at City College in New Rochelle. But the celebrities were playing basketball.
Mhm.
Okay. And he knowingly oversold the tickets, which led to a stampede.
Yeah, and what do they call it, bum rush?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, the 911 calls from that, people are dying and the 911 person's like dying.
Yeah.
And you kind of see Diddy kind of just walking around, not helping or doing anything in the footage. Someone else was trying to give help or CPR, but he was just like, huh?
But and did you notice that he was in all white?
No.
Go back and watch it. When they show him walking past the person giving CPR, he's in all white. So he's already starting to work on that persona. I didn't catch it the first time, and then when I rewatched it, I was like, "Oh wow!" It literally is a plan, and it's like step one, step two, step three, and you can kind of see just the bits and pieces of how he is now, like where it's starting from.
Yeah, because that was my other question is like, how much of this is him having this long game in his head of he's knowing where he wants to be and really methodically calculating the steps, and how much of it was him just winging it to the next level each time?
I think it started out as winging, and then once he really started getting the seat at the table and seeing how these executives are running, and that's when he really started planning. Because I don't feel like you can go as long as he did and have the mass followers that he did, and he's got his hands in every realm of music and designer and all these things. Like, that's not a whim. You have to plan that.
Yeah. So at that time, was he working for Andre Harrell already, or was that post City College?
I think he was still with Andre Harrell, 'cause, I remember Heavy D was one of the artists that was playing basketball, and he was on Uptown.
Okay. So somehow does Andre get him out of this, or like there's no consequences for this? Because they said from that point that was also a step of, hey, really bad shit can happen under my watch and I'm not going to have any accountability for it.
Yeah, because he did that press conference where he was basically saying he put it on the police officers and that they weren't doing anything. And so I think he got the compassion from the community, like, hey, this is this young black man trying to do stuff for the black
Right.
community. And so then that's when the love starts.
So I wonder if he was coached by Andre's PR rep or something like, this is how you got to play this out.
Guarantee.
Yeah. Okay. So, okay, let's talk about him grooming Andre Harrell,
That is crazy.
right? Because I do think there are people, I'll tell my interns this, like when you do a job or you go to an agency, look for who has the power and look who has the most knowledge, right? You want to identify those people and, see what they're bringing to the table and don't get caught up in the riffraff.
Uh-huh.
He definitely was like, I'm going to see who has the power. I'm going to do everything he does and I'm going to do it better. And then I'm going to outsmart him at his own game.
People hear grooming, and I think you automatically think of someone with more power being the groomer.
Right.
Completely flipped that shit. It was like, no, like I see what I want. I'm gonna give you everything that you need and you didn't know you need,
Hmm.
and I'm gonna be that one person that you can't do without. And he did it and he perfected it. And that's everything when you really start thinking about it and the way that his mind works, as scary as it is, he's a fucking genius.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't at especially at that age, I wouldn't have even had the know-how to even figure out, like, how to get into rooms like that, and then how to make myself seem so invaluable that not only am I gonna take this kid that I know nothing about, Imma give him part of my company, Imma let him run part of my company, and Imma let him move in with me.
Yeah. Did he get that? And of course, we could say, okay, he was raised by two hustlers, right? He was groomed himself. But also, these personality traits, I think, are in your DNA also. Like you
Yeah,
come with a skill set.
yeah, yeah. And it's like, I really do believe in that. It doesn't always have to be health-wise, it could be personality-wise, yeah.
Hmm. So do you think Andre was like, holy shit?
Yeah, and I think he played it off in the interview where he was talking about how he moved in the house before he did. I mean, he had to laugh it off because otherwise people are gonna be like, "You were such a sucker. Like, how are you running this business and this nobody moves in on your turf like that?"
Yeah. So then he says they make some deal and he's like, okay, you could take Biggie and go do your own thing, right? I'll give you this artist. And so somehow he gets Clive Davis to back him up.
Yeah,
Okay. And this is when he calls Kirk in and he's like, I'm doing my own thing. I'm going to change the artists that I work with, right? So now I'm looking for more hardcore artists, streets, and started copying what Suge Knight had on the West Coast, correct? Okay.
yeah.
I want something more like that. So he brought Biggie with him. Meanwhile, I did not know Suge Knight was in prison
Right now or ever.
now.
Yeah.
I just looked that up before. I was like, he's serving 28 years for something? Not related to any of this.
I don't think so. I think it was business and some gang-related stuff that came up from the past.
Okay. Because it said that he ran someone over or something. So Kirk is like, okay, I'll, develop this LLC with you. Basically, I'll be the workhorse. You be the front man. I'll do everything. I'll write everything down. We see these notebooks where he just wrote every single thing down. And he really was the grunt.
Yeah,
And at that time, Puffy puts the company in Kirk's name and his mom's name. So no one from the City College incident comes after him to sue him
yeah.
because he has nothing. Okay. So then they bring in Tupac, the
Mhm.
documentary. And right away they're saying, okay, Puff is jealous of Tupac's swagger, his music style, his personality.
And a lot of times that rivalry overshadows the fact that they were actually friends before. So I do like that how they brought in the Puffy aspect. So because you'll hear conversations, especially people who are really deep into hip hop, like where was the disconnect? How is that going from being your boy to y'all trying to shoot up each other? And so I'm glad that they put that piece in because now it kind of clicks. So they were good, but then you had this one person in the middle that didn't like that they were good. So what am I going to do? I'm going to sow some discord here, and then all hell breaks loose.
And to what capacity can Sean really be friends with someone else?
Yeah, everything is a hustle with him.
Right. So I want what you have. And we saw that with the Albusher and the other part people they brought up in the beginning, like wanting their girlfriends or, trying to hustle away their mistresses. Like whatever you have, I want, and I want more of it.
Yeah.
So Tupac and him were friends. So was Tupac always in the Bloods or affiliated?
I don't know, cause I don't remember him actually really being into, like, the gang world until he was on death row. Because before, he was this very, like, poetic Black community
Right.
person. So it was I remember thinking, "Oh, wow, he went to death row?" Like, that was a shocker for me because that was totally different from the Tupac persona that we knew.
And so at this time, Biggie is signed with Puffy, and the three of them are friends. And I don't know what to call him at this stage Puffy, P. Diddy, I don't know. But
All the names.
Biggie is opening shows for Tupac, and Sean didn't care. He was like, okay. Or is that where it kind of was like, wait a minute, who is your allegiance to?
And I think that's probably where this friendship really started blossoming, and that's probably when Diddy was like, "Okay, like, I gotta stop this."
Yeah, you can't be on both sides.
Exactly.
Okay. So they kind of copy the videos and the way that Tupac is like kind of highlighting this West Coast life and they brand it in an East Coast way. So then we get down to this whole thing about the Mike Tyson fight.
So first, Tupac got shot, and I think that's where the East Coast, West Coast kinda kicked off was when Tupac got shot at the studio.
Oh, right. So he was luring Tupac to the studio to sing or rap with Biggie, right? Come on, come on, come on. And so he was shot in the elevator?
He was shot in front. No, it was Little Caesar that was coming down in the elevator to let him in.
Okay.
And he said the gunman basically said, "Get back upstairs." And I think Tupac was shot either outside or walking into the building.
So here's my question. With this shooting and then the other one that took place in the studio where Sean and his son killed the guy in the bathroom, both incidences, they call 911 or somehow get an ambulance there, but it kind of disappears into nowhere.
Money and power.
So now they have some power with first responders.
Not even first responders, but they're going to have to do their job. But you have to report it to the police. And if the police don't take the report or they take the report and they slide it under the rug, like there's no way that, again, even his mom could have the lifestyle that she had doing the things that she did without a little cooperation from outside entities.
So you think corrupt connection with the police started back with mom and just
Yeah.
continued. And so he had like, I know I'm going to have no consequences to anything. Okay. So Tupac, then he goes to the hospital, gets released, and then immediately goes to prison for sexual assault.
Yes, and then that's when he found out that everybody was saying that Biggie set him up.
So Sean put that on Biggie? He let him carry that?
Yep.
But Biggie seems like such a softie. Like, I don't want to take sides. Like, just leave me out of shit. I'm going to play
It
neutral.
was, you remember, until Tupac I don't think it's ever really been said yes or no if he actually slept with Faith Evans or just said it because he knew that was gonna be the sticking point. And then he put it in the song. So it's like, not only am I telling you to your face that I fucked your wife, I put it in the song. So now
Right.
the whole world knows about it.
So do you think Diddy at some point when all this is happening is like, shit, I'm in over my head? Because Kirk says at one point, Diddy's like a hustler and a manipulator on paper, but like when it comes to the streets, he's not.
Yeah. And I think that's how it escalated so fast because I don't think he thought from the street side of it.
Right.
Like, these are the streets. These are real gangsters. It's not gonna be like, "Imma do this, Imma do this, Imma mess with your wife, Imma do this," and then we're gonna be like, "Okay, you know what? Just kidding."
Yeah. So that's when Diddy kind of befriends or gets introduced to some Crips, right?
I think because then he used them for security or something like
Yes.
that.
for security to go to the East Coast and West Coast. So, and that was something that was connections back to his dad, I think. How he created that with Zip, I think his name was. And then Zip, the guy, he introduced him to Keefee D. Okay, so let's go back to the Tyson fight. So everyone's fucked up on drugs, like crazy. The fight, just everyone was pumped beyond because it was a knockout in the first round or something. And so that's when some retaliation happened because someone previously had stole a chain.
Yeah, from one of the gang members.
So Diddy previously had this meeting with Zip, who introduced him to Keefee D. And then he said in front of Keefee D and all these Crips, I want these two shot, Suge Knight and Tupac. And I'll pay you, what was it, $1,500,000 for both?
That sounds right.
So what do you think of Keefee D? You know, they're interviewing him in prison. You think he's legit, not legit, embellishing?
He's legit. And I think that at this point, he's in jail for, I think he's got a life sentence, doesn't he?
Yeah.
So he's like, at this point, why I gotta keep holding this shit? I'm just gonna tell what happened. So I feel like, yeah, that he was that key to the whole thing. And he had ran as long as he could. He had gotten by with it. And then when they got him for whatever it was that they got him for the life sentence, he was just like, oh yeah, this is it.
And the way he talks about it is just like, yeah, we fucking killed him. And then we just went partied. And he was saying like they were standing right there in the corner when the police came. Like they had no fear of being arrested or anything, just whatever. So does that go back to the gangs having connections with the police?
Probably so, but also, you think about the gangs, they're running whatever community they're in. So they have no fear because they are the captain of the ship. So it's like, why am I going to leave that mindset behind just because I'm going to Las Vegas? If anything, I'm going to puff my chest up even more because I'm really not going to have anybody that's going to push against.
So while this is going on, people are really having allegiance to one side or the other.
Hmm.
I don't remember any of that, but how was Diddy seen back then? As the weaker?
You know what? When it really was the East Coast, West Coast stuff, I don't remember Diddy's name coming up in the conversations, other than that Source Awards where Suge Knight called him out, and then he was just like, and I remember that show. But in all of the back and forth, I don't ever remember Diddy's name coming up. It wasn't until later that people were starting to kind of add where he fit into the equation. I do remember it was the heavy East Coast, West Coast. Like you couldn't turn on the BET or that was back when Source and, the hip hop magazines were out and that was all that they talked about. And I don't remember Diddy's name coming up.
And that was a good point Suge made with Diddy just like taking cuts from his own people. Like, I'm going to put myself in your video. I'm going to sing on this track. I'm going to do this. And I'm just going to start just taking your money. I mean, just undercutting his own team.
And from a business perspective, he sees that. As a fan, I didn't. I was just like, that's just Diddy. And we just expected if he had an artist that had a video, he was going to bounce through and be like, take that, take that. That was just what we expected from him. It's weird when you see it as a grown up and you're seeing the different perspectives because I didn't think of it from a business perspective at all.
Right. So it's kind of like, how do I say I'm promoting my community and I'm one with them and then fucking them over, right? Like,
I would have done that. Like, this is my shit. I'm gonna jump in here too. Let me just walk across the screen.
but it seemed like he was really not paying them.
Yeah. And I don't think that really came out till towards the kind of the end of Bad Boys. And then, of course, recently now, where a lot of the entertainers are saying he was trying to get them to sign contracts where he would pay them out and it was still minimal.
Yes. The one guy at the end of the documentary where he gave him some measly amount for producing that whole record.
Uh-huh.
My God, that was so sad. Like, how do you treat people like that? And he was sexually assaulting that guy too.
Yeah.
Okay, so Keefee D pulls this off and he says he was never fully compensated. Did he was only going to give him $500,000 for killing Tupac, but that's even questionable whether he ever got that money or not. shocking at this point, right? And then we cut to this scene in the hotel. These scenes in the hotel, the way that he's riding through the streets of New York, just thinking, I own the road. I've got all the security around me. He's got his sons in the hotel room with him. Then he's got the assistant putting his necklaces on, taking it off.
That's Pimp mentality. If you think of any movie, any television show where they have a heavy focus on a pimp, that's the stuff that they do. He was a business pimp. He may not have been pimping sexually, but he was definitely pimping the people that he was with. He knew how to pick them and he knew how to get what he wanted from them because I don't see myself waking up and being like, put my robe on. And having somebody say,
Pack my sex bag for tonight with all the drugs and baby oil.
yes, sir.
Does this go back to the kind of movies that his mom had them watch when they were growing up?
Yeah, like the black exploitation one. Yep. Dolomite was a pimp. Superfly.
Yeah.
He wasn't necessarily a pimp, but he had pimp qualities.
Okay. This is a life he's always wanted to lead with just servants.
Yeah. And then they always had the pretty women around them. They always had the women doing whatever they wanted them to do. So yeah, he didn't have a dad to show him, even though I don't think the dad would have shown him anything different, but he didn't have a dad there to show him that that's not really how men are.
Right. So it's this kind of attitude like, I've seen my people exploited and therefore I'm going to exploit other people.
Yeah. You know how they say with people who come from like dysfunctional families, like an alcoholic, you're gonna see it and say, I don't want to live my life like that, or you're gonna see it and be like, okay, well, I know how this works out, so that's the easy route. I'm gonna take that route.
The route where I'm living the high life. At what point do you think he kind of faces like, shit, I've really crossed the line?
I don't think he has. Even with him being in jail, I don't know if you saw recently where they had pictures of him in the courtyard and apparently he had like alcohol or something snuck into the prison.
Yeah.
It's like he's pimping those people too. He's doing the same thing inside that he is outside. In his mind, he is untouchable.
But he did get time added to his sentence for that, right? Oh, I don't know. So who do you think's running this game now that he's there? Because do you think it's his mom?
I've always said it's his mom. From day one, she taught him how to do this. He perfected it and took it to a different level. I mean, yeah, some people are born with those kind of personality clicks or whatever, but you got to learn how to work those aspects of your personality. And you got to learn it from somewhere.
So did he ever take over all of Bad Boy or does his mom still own a huge percentage of it?
They never clarified that.
Right. Because this is a huge power move for her, I'm thinking. Like if she's running the system, the game, and he's in there.
But also, is she really running it? Or is she just a stand in until he comes out? Because the way he's treated women his whole life, she's been treated that way. She was probably treated that way with his dad, and she probably accepts that from him.
Right, but don't you think this gives her a power play?
I think with to the normal person, you would see a power play, but if that's how you lived your whole life,
But she was on top for a while until she groomed him and then he got the power. But now, like, she might be like, fuck that.
I don't know if after you've been beat down for so long, and then the coerciveness, like he's giving her the money she needs, he's keeping her in the lifestyle that she needs. So I don't see her being like, okay, this is my time to take it all over while he's in, because I would be thinking if I try and I fuck this up, then that's my ass when he gets out.
I don't know. I can't. Do you think he would screw over his own mom? Do you think he would have people take out his own mom?
Really feel like he has any boundaries anywhere in life at this point. I really don't.
Do you think 50 Cent has damaged him so much where when he comes out, it's going to be very hard for him to rebuild? Like, is he done?
I don't think he is because there's still people out there that justify what he's done. There's still people out there that support him. It's just the insanity of it all. Like the merchandise that he put out, his music, especially that late 2000 Bad Boys, man, that goes hard. I have that on rotation all the time in my car. I'm not even gonna lie, it still hits every day. But if he put out something now, I don't know. I don't feel like we have the tenacity to actually cancel people out. Because you remember he had Ciroc, and so when everything started coming out, it was like, "Oh, you gonna ban Ciroc?" No, I have 2 bottles in my my kitchen right now. So it's like, can you fully cancel him? I don't think that you can.
Is it like people separate the artist from the crime, like Chris Brown?
I have said that before, like, Sean Combs did that, P. Diddy didn't.
Right. They're kinda like Michael Jackson, like
Bill Cosby, no, that was Bill Cosby, that wasn't Cliff Huxtable.
right.
Yes!
You ever think he'll regain the power?
I don't think the magnitude and maybe not as public, but I don't see him going away quietly. I don't think it's in him, he's too egotistical.
What about his son, Justin? I mean, that kid has no fucking chance.
Yeah, but I also don't think he would survive without his dad either.
Do you think he'll go to prison? Do you think he was implicated enough in this documentary?
I don't think so.
But they're gonna watch them like hawks.
They will, but I mean, it took this long for all of this to come out. So just imagine them seeing how this is playing out and they're taking notes and all they're doing is perfecting the system. So, okay, so this is how they got us on this. Let's change this up.
Right. So my husband compares it to John Gotti. He's like, they went after John Gotti and he was in prison, in, out, in, out. Then they finally got him.
Yeah. But so, and that might be the case. It might be like Bill Cosby, probably 75 years old, and they finally get enough to put him in prison
Right.
to end his life. But when he comes out after this run, I think he'll be quiet for a little bit, and then he's going to have his hands right back in the business.
Do you think he'll get out in less time? They said with the feds, you pretty much serve to the day, right?
Yeah, it's day for day in feds. So he'll do his time, and then he'll come out, and he'll run the game. It might be a little different, but he's going to run the game.
What did you think about in the documentary? I can't remember who the 2 guys were, but they were like, he can't sing for shit. He can't dance. He's got no talent. He sucks.
But the way that he does it, if you listen to the group that he had with one of the members from Danity Kane, and he tries to sing on the song, and it is terrible, but you still sing along with it, and it's still a bop. You know, it's almost like Mary J. Blige. You could start a huge fight on if Mary J. Blige can sing. Can Mary J. Blige sing? No. But is she a great performer? Absolutely. And that is how Puffy
He
is.
even always looks like an idiot when he's dancing.
Yeah, but when you go to the club and you play a Puffy song, we're gonna be doing that same little corny dance. And like I said, like I am quick to say, take that, take that. He's done his job. He's done his job. Even if he went out today, he cannot say that he did not leave a mark on the community.
Yeah, he did want to do that. So you're thinking they're separating the criminal from the artist.
Definitely.
Do you think all countries do that or just the United States?
United States. Just the United States. We are so fickle.
Well, also, we are a country of narcissists. So
Very much so.
there you go. Well, Chrissy, thank you so much for recapping this. I was like, this could be a really daunting recap, but we could find some humor in it.
Oh, yes, I loved it.
You'll have to come back again.
Anytime. Anytime.
Okay. So see you soon. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Charmingly Toxic with me, your host, Denise Capurso. Be sure to like, subscribe, and pass on to your fellow reality TV junkies. You can connect with me on Instagram at Denise_support coach and on Facebook at Denise Capurso Counseling and Coaching. This podcast is for entertainment and educational purposes only. While I am a licensed therapist, I'm not diagnosing anyone for therapeutic purposes, and these are not my clients. Expect sarcasm, snark, and a few clinical insights woven in. I talk about toxic relationships, power dynamics, and emotional safety, but this is not therapy, treatment, or a substitute for professional care. If you're looking for support, please consult a qualified mental health provider. If you're here for validation, insight, and a little side eye, welcome.